Hi, my name is Ryan Chen, and I'm going into my fourth year in Industrial and Operations Engineering, and today I'm going to show you a quick demo of the procedure fellow assignment simulator that we've made over this past summer. So the first screen you'll see once you've opened up the simulator is a folder dialog, basically to prompt you to enter or select a folder that you want to save files, because the simulator is going to create some Excel and picture files and would like to know where you want to save it. So you can either choose an existing folder or make a new folder. So in this case, I'm just going to choose a desktop. So upon choosing your folder, the first screen you will see is the instructions. And these instructions detail basically, well, everything you need to know with regard to running a simulator. But since I'm going to show you most of that stuff, we'll skip over that. So hit take me to the simulator, and now you'll see an input screen. So you're able to designate the number of fellows in the program, how many procedures you expect per year, how many procedures are needed per fellow for certification, how many days you want to simulate for, and how many repetitions of that number of days you want to run. Let's see, and then over here you have the rotation method. So you can either rotate fellows on call in a daily rotation. So for example, in this case you have 4 fellows, so then fellow 1 will get day 1, fellow 2 will get day 2, fellow 3 to day 3, fellow 4 to day 4, and then on day 5 you cycle back to fellow 1 and you restart the rotation. Or you can divide the simulation time into equal segments and assign the fellow to each. So in this case 4 fellows, so each fellow gets roughly 3 months on call, and they're on call for that amount of time consecutively. The third option is that a fellow remains on call until certified. So in this case we said that each fellow needs 10 procedures for certification. So until that fellow receives 10 procedures, they're on call. And once they do, then the next fellow goes on call. And the last option is to have a fellow remain on call until they receive a procedure. So at the beginning of the year, fellow 1 is on call, and no matter how long it takes for that first procedure to arrive, fellow 1 is on call. And then once that procedure arrives, and then the next fellow is on call until they receive a procedure. Let's see. Then the option above this is simulate until all fellows are certified, and if you click this box, then it will then the simulator will ignore the number of days per repetition and instead simulate indefinitely until all fellows are certified. Whether that takes 300 days or 400 days or whatever, it'll take that amount of time. Additionally, you can choose to assign multiple procedures in one day. So currently, without the box checked, if there are multiple procedures that happen in one day, let's say 3 of them happen in one day, then after that first one, the other 2 are thrown out within the scope of this program. However, if you choose to assign multiple procedures in one day, you have 2 options. One is that all of the procedures in one day go to one fellow. So then in the previous case, so then all 3 procedures would go to one fellow. Or you can have the same day procedures enter a queue. So if 3 procedures arrived in one day and fellow 1 was on call, then fellow 1 would receive 1 procedure, and then you would pull in fellow 2 and fellow 3 to handle respectively the second and third procedures. Let's see. So then the last option you can toggle is to designate the expected number of procedures by month. So if the procedure that you're examining has a seasonal trend, then you can designate that. And notice that sliding these sliders synchronizes with these boxes up top, and also the total of these 12 synchronizes up here. So you can have fun with this as you may. And for all of these checkboxes, once you've unchecked them, then they aren't input into the simulator. So let's just take a look at the base case that we had before and in a daily rotation. So the first thing you'll notice is the inputs are replicated at the top, and additionally you can run the simulator again from this tab without having to go back to inputs. So then here you'll see we had 4 fellows, so fellow 1 through 4, the count of the number of procedures they received, and whether or not that was enough for certification. And if it was, then it'll show the day that they received that last procedure for certification. You'll notice that this last row over here shows the number of procedures that were unassigned. Notice we didn't check this box, so that means that there were 2 procedures that were multiple on a day, so they were thrown out with respect to these 4 fellows. And so there's that. The chart directly to its right replicates this number of procedures column, and also shows you the red line for where that cutoff is for certification. The chart beneath that shows the same information as the chart above, except now you get a better sense of the relative share each fellow received of the procedures. Then over to the right, you'll see the actual number of procedures that occurred by month. And this goes well with actually this button over here that says Show Schedule. So here, once you click this, it'll bring up a new window that shows you when, like the day numbers of each procedure that occurred, as well as which fellow received them. So the color scheme here corresponds to the color scheme in the pie chart. So this darker blue to fellow 1, the red to fellow 2, and so on. You'll see the unassigned procedures stack on the top. So on day, maybe it looks like maybe around 186 or so, there's an unassigned procedure, and another one over here around 315 or so. Okay, then last few bits, you'll see the actual number of total procedures here, 36, so that's just the sum of this column, and the actual number of certified fellows, and since in this case only fellow 3 was certified, it's just a 1. Then, lastly, you can see the folder location of where the files that are generated will go. So in case you forgot where you initially entered, you can take this and copy it into Windows Explorer, and it'll take you to where your files are. Additionally, if you think this particular case of output is interesting, then you can decide to replicate the output to a different location. So you can create a whole new folder, and it'll create a duplicate set of files. But for now, let's look at those files that we've created. So in my case, that's right here. Open up this Excel file, and you'll see, so the first thing we see is that table that was on the chart that was on the very right. So this chart over here, now in Excel over here, and here's the input that created that chart. In sheet 2, you'll see the Excel input that created the timeline. And in sheet 1, you'll see the Excel input that created the pie chart. And since the bar chart and the pie chart are duplicates of each other, you can just right-click and convert this into a bar chart if you wish. Anyway, back to the simulator. You can change things around. So if you choose to assign multiple procedures in a day, then theoretically this unassigned number should go to 0, since you no longer have the problem of throwing out procedures. So let's watch that in action. As expected, 0 procedures, you kind of see still the same kind of output. A lot of randomness going on here, but that's within the realm of things you might expect. Then again, all the same kind of functionalities. Now let's try simulating until all fellows are certified. Hit go. So now you'll notice that it took 527 days for that last fellow to get certified. And so if you hit show schedule, it'll reflect that fact. So it goes all the way out to 527. So pretty cool. So now let's say you think, oh, well, this is a really random case, so I want to see a more average case. So then let's go out to 10,000 repetitions. Let me reset all of these things. And hit go. You'll see a little progress bar, though it usually is pretty fast. So let's exit out of that. Again, your input's replicated at the top. You'll see now that we've moved to the multiple repetitions tab, whereas we were over here in 1 repetition before. Instead now, this table shows you the number of fellows that were certified and how many times that happened. So out of the 10,000 repetitions, no fellows were certified 769 times, 1 fellow was certified 2,831 times, and so on. Then this column shows that value as a percentage, and then you have your approximate 95% confidence interval to show you some kind of dispersion. And as expected, your actual average number of procedures per repetition, once you get out to 10,000, should be pretty close to 40. In this case, we have 39.94, which is pretty close. And we have actual average number of fellows certified, which is 1.9, which you can kind of get from actually just taking the expected value out of here. And then the actual average simulation duration. So if we had clicked this box, this number would be different, since each repetition would take a various number of days. Again, folder location, ability to duplicate your results to a different location. Now here, this table basically replicates the percentage column values in graphical form, and you have here average number of procedures by month. Notice over 10,000 repetitions, this should be relatively steady, but I guess the month numbers or month names are cut off here, but we start in July, and over here in February, as expected, since it's a shorter month, you get slightly less average number of procedures. Then a kind of unrelated tab to that is the, so it's called percent certified versus number of procedures per year. So you basically get to input the same inputs, other than you don't get to choose the number of repetitions. And the reason for that is you choose a base arrival rate, so in this case 40, and what the simulator does is it takes values from 10 through double your base rate, so in this case 10 through 80, at multiples of 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and it runs 10,000 repetitions of the simulator for each of those values. So 10,000 repetitions with 10 procedures per year, 10,000 with 20 per year, 10,000 with 30 per year, and so on, up through 80. And so let's just let you see what that looks like. So this progress bar will fire 8 times for once for 10 through 80, and it'll give you some output. So let's look at this. So basically what this tells you is the average percentage of fellows certified versus the average number of procedures per year. So if on average you get 10 procedures per year, then no one gets certified. Whereas if you have 50 procedures per year, then 3/4 of your fellows are certified, which is different from saying 3/4 of the time all fellows are certified. So it's 3/4 of the fellows are certified. So that means 3 fellows on average. Again, you can see, so it takes quite a high number of average procedures per year to be able to certify everybody. Again, folder location, duplication ability, right there, and so you can just kind of play around with this. So if you assign multiple procedures per year, then you should expect all of these numbers to go up because you don't throw out any procedures. So let's see if that happens. And there we go. Each bar was raised probably about like 3% on average or so. And so you can kind of play around with that on each of these tabs. Lastly, if you want to contact us for feedback, you can email us at sure-2012@umich.edu or use this as an email tab. Other than that, that's the simulator. So hopefully you found this informative or useful, and thanks for watching.